Hello, sports fans, and welcome to Scott Sports 101. I didn't get a chance to recap the Sunday night football game or last night's Monday night game. We'll do a pregame show for the Monday night one last night. So it's going to be a Sunday night football / Monday night football recap show. And I'll recap both games in just a moment, but right now, here is today's Scott Sports 101 Monday night football trivia question, which was supposed to be for last night's Monday night football game. So here it is for today. I was the quarterback that led the Rams to a victory in the 2000 Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. I lost my starting job after I fumbled 6 times in the first game of the 2003 season. Who am I? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. Let's recap last night's Sunday night football game between the Seahawks and Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Seattle Seahawks 37-34 in overtime at University of Phoenix Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona. Russell Wilson showed big time in the fourth quarter and in overtime. The Cardinals trailed by 13 points. They scored 10 points in the final 2:28 of regulation just to get to overtime. They missed a game-winning field goal in overtime. They then won it with a game-winning field goal in overtime, oddly enough. It was an probable 37-34 overtime victory for the Cardinals over the Seahawks. It was Seattle's first loss after 5 victories to start the season. The Cardinals, who were 5-10-1 last season, moved to 5-2 with their third consecutive win. Zane Gonzalez kicked a 44-yard field goal on the final play of the fourth quarter to send it to overtime. A 41-yarder was wide left with 2:42 remaining in overtime, which would have given the Cardinals the victory after Seattle punted its first possession of overtime. He got another chance with 20 seconds in the extra period and nailed the 48-yarder. It was the first time the Cardinals had led. The Seahawks thought they had this game won more than once, including in overtime when DK Metcalf scored on a 48-yard touchdown on 3rd and 10, but officials penalized receiver David Moore for an obvious hold on Kevin Peterson to spring Metcalf. Rookie Isaiah Simmons intercepted Wilson on the next play and returned in 12 yards to the Seattle 49. That set up the Cardinals' game-winning 6-play, 19-yard drive. The Cardinals got to overtime on an 8-yard touchdown catch by Christian Kirk with 2:28 left in regulation. And after Arizona got the ball back with 52 seconds left, Gonzalez made the tying kick on the final play of regulation. Kirk's touchdown, his second of the game, came 2 plays after the Seahawks defensive lineman Benson Mayowa was penalized for unnecessary unsportsmanlike conduct for trying to gain leverage on Gonzalez's 52-yard field goal. The Cardinals took the points off the board and got the touchdown, leaving them in need of only a field goal to tie it on the last play of regulation. Kyler Murray finished with 34-48 for 360 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He also ran for 67 yards and a touchdown on 14 carries. DeAndre Hopkins caught 10 passes for 103 yards and a touchdown kick, and had 5 receptions for 37 yards and 2 scores. Chase Sedman getting more playing time after Keenan Drake was carted off the field. With an ankle injury. Edmonds had 5 carries for 58 yards and caught 7 passes for 87 yards. And that was both on the rushing and receiving end of the ball. The Cardinals gained 58 yards. The Seahawks gained 572 yards as Russell Wilson threw for 388 yards. Tyler Lockett had his second 3 touchdown game in 4 games, but Wilson also threw 3 interceptions. Wilson had 2 touchdown passes, tying Peyton Manning for the most through 6 games. Manning finished with 55 touchdowns that season. Wilson also ran for 84 yards on 6 carries. Lockett caught 15 passes for 200 yards and touchdowns of 3.47 and 3 yards. Lockett had a 3-touchdown game against the Cowboys in Week 3 and 9 passes for 100 yards. That was his only 100-yard game this season before Sunday night. Lockett has 7 touchdowns this season, and that's pretty impressive. But it's time now to give out the game balls for this game. And Kyler Murray, 34 of 48, carries and attempts, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. DeAndre Hopkins, 10 carries, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And Claire Edmonds, 5 carries, 58 yards, 7 receptions, 87 yards on the receiving end, and no interceptions. I will recap the Monday night game in just a moment. But right now, it is time now to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 Monday Night Football Trivia question. I was the quarterback that led the Rams to a victory in the 2000 Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. I lost my starting job after I fumbled 6 times in the first game of the 2003 season. Who am I? If you said Kurt Warner, you are correct. In 1999, for the Rams, Kurt Warner had a quarterback rating of 109.2 and passed for 4,353 yards in helping the Rams win the Super Bowl. And I will have another trivia question on my next podcast, which will be on Thursday night for Scott Sports 101 Thursday Night Football. And that will be for the pregame show, so stay tuned for that. Right now, it is time right now to recap last night's Monday night game. Well, it was week 7 of Monday Night Football. Were you ready for the football? The Rams beat the Chicago Bears 24-10 last night at SoFi Stadium. The Chicago Bears entered Monday Night Football with one of the best records in the NFL, not to mention a first-place spot at top of the AFC North. They leave primetime in a much different position, despite every effort from a defense that literally scored more points than Matt Nagy's offense in Los Angeles. The Bears had almost no answers for Sean McVay's Rams too close to Week 7, with Jared Goff, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, and the rest of the home team cruising to a 24-10 victory to improve to 5-2, and raise all kinds of questions about Chicago's place among NFC contenders. Nick Foles was once again underdressed as the Bears quarterback, but he did himself no favors in response, throwing a pair of untimely interceptions to help seal the Rams' big victory, falling to 5-2. Chicago slides to second place in the NFC North, behind the Green Bay Packers, whereas Los Angeles has successfully kept pace with its competitive NFC West rivals with the win. Here are some immediate takeaways from Monday night's contest. Here's why the Rams won. On a night when the Bears got most of the attention as the game's top defense, LA's own D stepped up exactly when it needed to, with ex-Bear Leonard Floyd logging a key third down sack. Taylor Rapp coming up clutch with an end zone interception, and Aaron Donald and the D-line all but rendering David Montgomery a non-factor for much of the evening. On the other side of the ball, Jared Goff occasionally threatened to throw himself into a funk, but mostly cruised alongside Sean McVay's diversified ground game, with Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, and Robert Woods churning out chunk plays. The Rams needed to hold the ball to wear down Chicago's defense, and that's exactly what they did, especially as the night progressed. Save for a near lost fumble by Goff, a Kayala Max sack, and a blocked field goal in the fourth. And the Rams were pretty much in control from the start to finish. Even punter Johnny Hekker got in on the fun, pinning down several kicks deep in Chicago territory late in the matchup. And that's why Chicago won. Why the Rams won last night. And here's why Chicago lost. This game was pretty much over for the Bears right from the start. They only had one touchdown and one field goal. Nick Foles made too many mistakes, and he threw untimely interceptions. And the offense couldn't keep the Rams defense from slowing down, and the Bears defense couldn't keep Jared Goff out of the pocket, and they kept making the mistakes, and the Rams just took advantage of every one of the Bears' mistakes in this game, and that is why the Rams won this game last night, and why the Bears lost. And I got to give credit to where credit is due, and that's to the LA Rams, and I got to give the game balls out to them right now. And they go to, first of all, Jared Goff, 23 of 33 carries and attempts, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Malcolm Brown, 57 yards, 1 touchdown. 10 attempts, 57 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And Josh Reynolds, 4 receptions, 52 yards, and 1 touchdown. So that's basically, I wanted to just recap. That's basically what happened in last night's Monday night game. And one more bit of NFL news. It's some Browns news. Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. will be out for the rest of the season for the Browns with a torn ACL injury, and that he suffered in the first quarter of the Browns-Bengals game down in Cincy on Sunday, which the Browns won 37-34. So Rashard Hollywood Higgins, I should say, will be in his spot. And this does hurt the Browns, but I think they're going to come up with I think Rashard Higgins should do fine in place of Odell Beckham Jr. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 Sunday Night Football / Monday Night Football recap show. I'll be back on Thursday with the Scott Sports 101 Thursday Night Football pregame show and then postgame show after the Thursday night game, which will be between Atlanta and Carolina. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day and every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.